Our special guest today is Mikhail Shavarikov. He is the founder of Stalingrad Battlefield Tours.
A group of Army South was heading to Caucasus in the summer 1942. The 6th Army and the parts of the 4th Panzer Army, they were able to capture Stalingrad, and they had all the resources and enough troops. But the Russian resistance was so strong, and they didn't expect that the Russian would fight for every inch of their land. Every year we find around Stalingrad remains of almost, let's say, from 1,000 to 3,000 soldiers every year.
Der Angriff sollte dann fünftens aber nun weitergeführt werden.
1942, Hitler had his famous speech in Sport Palace, where he said that he already captured Stalingrad.
Jene Gegend, die zwischen dem Knie des Don und der Wolga selber liegt. Und als Ort Stalingrad, nicht etwa, weil der Ort den Namen von Stalin hat, das ist uns gänzlich gleichgültig, sondern ausschließlich, weil dies ein strategisch wichtiger Platz ist.
For Germans, the Battle of Stalingrad began on the 23rd of August, when the city of Stalingrad was bombed during the massive air raid by the 4th Luftwaffe fleet by Richthofen. On the city were dropped more than 100,000 tons of bombs. Died more than 40,000 civilians, and more than 100,000 of civilians were wounded. Here we divide the Battle of Stalingrad to two periods, the defensive period and the counter-offensive period.
Meet the World War II experts who work on the battlefield. This is the Bunker Boys Show with your host, Tony Cisneros.
This massive air raid lasted next 2 weeks. During these 2 weeks died more than 100,000 of civilians, and nobody knows exactly how many were wounded nowadays. We just know that the population of Stalingrad on 22nd of June, the beginning of the operation of Barbarossa, was 500,000 inhabitants. But on the day of the massive air raid, population of Stalingrad was about 800,000 of civilians, including the refugees who have been running from the German advance from the Don River. Also, he were evacuated from Leningrad, Moscow, and east of Ukraine. So in 1942, Stalingrad was the safe city.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bunker Boys Show. If you're even remotely into World War II, you know what to do. Keep it right here. We've got an amazing episode for you. We're back with Mikhail Shivarikov of Stalingrad Battlefield Tours. He's located over there in Volgograd, Russia. In our last episode, Mikhail talked about the significance of Stalingrad, the amount of the loss of life, the numbers of dead on both sides, German, Russian, and of course the many, many civilians who got caught up in the middle of this epic battle. In this episode, we'll be talking about the actual battle for Stalingrad. When the Germans reached the Volga River, they had no idea what was in store for them. The battle at Stalingrad would become a death trap for all sides.
The Russian troops, tired by the previous fightings for the Kharkov, for Rostov, they have been retreating backwards to Stalingrad. And on the way to Stalingrad, during the so-called defensive or retreating fightings, were created 4 defenses lines. So each time Germans could manage to get this line, the Russian forces retreated and created another defense line closer to Stalingrad. So closer to the end of August 1942, Germans were able to reach the big bend of Don River and to capture the city of Kalach in the big bend of Don River. That time, Russians they had to cross the Don River on the way to Stalingrad and to create the new positions, new defense line between Volga and Don. So here took place the most fierce fightings, where we lost literally hundred thousands of Soviet soldiers. The Germans were very powerful. They used the aviation, the artillery, panzers, mortars, Nebelwerfers, and closer to Stalingrad, when they reached the city, they started, they say, their battle of Stalingrad began.
I understand when Stalin sent forces, the guards, into to Stalingrad, that he said not one step back. In other words, they had to literally fight to the death. So what did that mean? I mean, you know, tell us what was that like, having these NKVD troops, and if anyone doesn't know what that is, there was these special political troops. Can you tell us a little bit about what they were and what their job was?
Let me explain you about the famous order not one step backwards, which appeared just 10 days later after the Stalingrad front was created. That was issued on the 28th of July 1942. That was one of the most tough orders signed by Joseph Stalin. This order was saying that from this time No one can leave their positions without the permission order of the higher commanders. Those who would leave their positions or will create any kind of panic, they will be punished by the law of war. They could be even shot. Yeah, so that's why the soldiers of the Red Army have been fighting so bravely, because they realize that they could be seriously punished for that, even killed for that. Yeah, so they had no choice. But who were the NKVD? We have to understand that NKVD was not only political troops. NKVD during the Soviet times or the pre-Soviet times, we had ministers. By Bolsheviks, when they came to power, these ministers were cancelled and created commissariats. So NKVD is the, let's say, just means the Ministry of the Internal Affairs, or what we call today the police, or military during the Soviet times. So NKVD or police, all kind of the police troops, military, were one of the first who met the Germans on the outskirts of Stalingrad. The troops of the 62nd Army have been almost defeated on the Don River during the Battle of Kalach, and they had to move on the other side of the Volga River. So at that time, by the city or around the city, there were no Red Army troops. And the first who met Germans on the outskirts were the armed workers of the factories, Stalingrad factories, ruined factories. And then the 10th Division of NKVD troops, which was formed at Stalingrad. This division consisted about from 10,000 men. These were not political troops, and they have not been killing the Russian soldiers, not sitting behind their backs and shooting into them and forcing them to fight. Of course, such NKVD battalions were created. They had special tasks to prosecute deserters and to make the Russian soldiers fight. But the fightings on the outskirts of the city were so fierce. Just imagine, about 200 NKVD men survived the Battle of Stalingrad at those fightings on the close outskirts of the city. And almost 10,000 of them died before the 62nd Army troops crossed the Volga River and arrived to Stalingrad. That was the first who landed in Stalingrad was the 13th Guards Rifle Division of Alexander Radimtsev. That was from 14th to 15th of September 1942. They landed in the area of famous Stalingrad flour mill, where today we have the Panorama Museum. The street fightings began in September. So the German siege of Stalingrad began on 13th of September 1942. One of the first districts which was occupied by Germans was Voroshilsky district, with one of the tallest buildings of Stalingrad, famous Stalingrad grain elevator. So then they occupied the central part of Stalingrad with the train station, with the Stalingrad department store, where was located later 71st Infantry Division. And in the same building, in the cell of this building, later was captured the headquarters of the Sixth Army, including the Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus and the Chief of Staff Arthur Schmidt. The fierce fightings continued till the November 1942, till the middle of November. In end of October 1942 started the fierce fightings for the ruined factories, Barricade gun factory, tractor plants, and Lazur chemical factory. At the same time, in the middle of November 1942, the Russians started famous counteroffensive Uranus. So the group of German forces were encircled, trapped in Stalingrad. More than 330,000 German soldiers and officers were trapped in Stalingrad, and they tried to supply their forces by airlift, but later they lost their airfields outside of the cauldron.
So, Mikhail, can you tell us about this Russian commander, General Vasily Chuikov? He apparently was leading the fight in Stalingrad, and my understanding is that Chuikov had some very unique tactics that were used in the street fighting of Stalingrad. Can you tell us or talk to us a little bit about that? This, shock troops and using small groups as opposed to big divisional thinking?
Yes, of course. When the street fightings began, we say that these fightings were for every inch of the lands, for every staircase, room by room, staircase by staircase, house by house, street by street fightings. Vasily Chuikov, he was one of the youngest commanders of the armies at the Eastern Front. He was just 42 years old. He was sent here personally by Joseph Stalin. He said that I heard about one brave commander. Let's send him to prove his words. So Vasily Chuikov, when he reached Stalingrad and could see the ruins, he realized that he can use it. So he invented so-called the new tactics of the warfare. So he created these famous storm groups, little groups made of several men, up to 15 men, the biggest group armed with the sharp shovels, with knives, with grenades, with automatic guns. So he was saying that they have to appear from unexpected places, from the canalization, and that they have to use the landscape and everything they could use to surprise Germans. He designed the special advices for the soldiers, how they should fight to capture every room, every staircase. For example, to throw the grenade first, and after to break into the room and to shoot He also created. He was saying that the Russian soldiers have to create the fortresses, like the famous Pavlov's house. They have to make fortresses from every house, from every building. These fortresses, he was saying that they have to break the waves of the German attacks. So actually, he invented a lot of different tactics which are still used all over the world.
Can you just take just a moment to tell us a little bit about how this ended, the surrender of Paulus? You know, how it ended.
10th of January 1943 began the operation of liquidation German forces at Stalingrad, named as Koltso Ring. By the results of this operation, more than 240,000 German soldiers were killed in action or missing. 92,000 were captured. Only 6,000 of those 92 were able to return back to Germany after 10 years in prisoner camps in the Soviet Union. Friedrich Paulus had the headquarters before his army was trapped approximately 100 kilometers from Stalingrad at the Don River at Golubinsky settlement. So if to compare, for example, Paulus and commander of the 62nd Army, Vasily Chuikov, who was always at the front line, Paulus' headquarters was quite far from the city, about 100 kilometers. Yeah, that's very true. He flew very often to Stalingrad to coordinate his commanders on the place, but his headquarters was quite far. So at the moment when the German troops were encircled, Paulus was outside of the cauldron, and he had to flew in Stalingrad after the briefing with command of the 4th Panzer Army, and they decided that Paulus goes inside the cauldron and takes the command by the 6th Army and by the parts of the 4th Panzer Army at Stalingrad. Paulus flew to Gumrak airfield until the 26th of January. On that day, he flew right into the city and moved to Stalingrad department store on that date, on 26th of January, where he spent just 5 days before he was captured. Actually, he was cornered at the department store, and he was running from the rapidly advancing army to the city of Stalingrad from the Don River. By the operation of liquidation was led by Konstantin Rokossovsky, and Rokossovsky troops have been heading Stalingrad. On their way, they have captured one of the biggest German airfields, Pitomnik, and then Gumrak. Pitomnik was one of the biggest supply airfields or evacuating airfields, where have been landing the biggest German Luftwaffe aircrafts, and where have been gathering all of the wounded to be evacuated from Stalingrad. we have to say that about 50,000 German soldiers were able to leave the pocket by airlift. Hitler wanted to create later the Sixth Army after the disaster in Stalingrad on the basis of those evacuated from here by airlift. But later he refused from that idea because the name of Stalingrad became the symbol of the tragedy and the disaster of the Germany here. So Paulus was captured by the 38 Motorized Rifle Brigade of Burmakov that day on 31st of January 1943. This brigade was able to break to the center of the city of Stalingrad. They have captured the building just a few hundred meters from the famous department store, and few German officers were captured and briefly interrogated. They told to the Russian soldiers that Paulus could be probably in the basement of department store, and because here locates the 71st German Infantry Army headquarters. So Russian forces by the early morning, using the mortars, were able to capture the first floor of a central department store, and then a few parliamentarians were sent to the cell of department store where was located the headquarters of the Sixth Army, and at the same time here were hiding about 300 German wounded and freezing soldiers. The temperatures were below zero, about minus 20 Celsius, not Fahrenheit. That is much colder. Actually, at that time, all of the buildings of the ruined Stalingrad were filled by the freezing German soldiers. That was the only one way to survive, to hide from the Russian artillery, and because of the temperatures, of course. Yeah, because they could not use the normal apartments because everything was ruined. The city was ruined up to 90%. Paulus was captured closer to the 11 o'clock by the local time. He was delivered by the several cars of the 64th Army of General Shumilov to the headquarters of the 64th Army, approximately 25 kilometers south to Biketovka, where he was interrogated by the Mikhail Shumilov and his officers. Exactly there, the Russian officers knew that they have captured the first ever and the only one during the World War II Field Marshal. He was promoted to this rank just a few hours by the telephonogram or telegram. Hitler gave him this rank only with one thought, that he would commit suicide and would take all the responsibility to himself. But Paulus, when he knew about that promotion, he said that I would not deliver such pleasure to this stupid Ефрейтор. He meant Hitler, as some memoirs remember later. Paulus was later interrogated one more time by late night by Konstantin Rokossovsky, the commander of the Don Front, who led the operation of liquidation, and by the representative of Stavka Voronov, where they asked Paulus to give an order to the northern group of forces, another pocket in Stalingrad, to surrender, but Paulus refused to give any orders. He said, "I'm already captured. Who would listen to me?" Yeah, in that situation, we know that during the Operation Liquidation of German troops at Stalingrad, German cauldron was split in two parts, into the southern and to the northern pocket. So northern pocket with Commander Karl Strecker surrendered 2 days later after Paulus on 2nd of February 1943 in the area of the Stalingrad tractor plant. We say the Battle of Stalingrad finished on the 2nd of February when we celebrate the end of the battle. Each year we have here in Volgograd, Stalingrad, memorial ceremonies. Every 5th year on the big anniversary we have victory parade during the winter time. So we have twice victory parades a year, here on 9th of May, Victory Day, and on the day of the defeat of German Nazi forces in Stalingrad on 2nd of February.
And those are beautiful ceremonies. I've seen a lot of your photos on your Facebook page, of all those ceremonies that you attend and have brought groups to. It's an amazing place, an incredible battle, and just not enough time in one episode to cover it all. But I think we all just need to come to Volgograd and you can show us around,
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I really appreciate your time, Mikhail. That's been a very enlightening experience hearing about the battle in Stalingrad and some of the different memorials and ceremonies that take place and those excavation tours. I think that is so interesting that you guys do that. So the next time I'm there, God willing, I look forward to seeing you there, Mikhail, and really appreciate you taking the time today. What's the best way for our viewers to connect with you and Stalingrad Tours?
The best way is just to visit our website, stalingradtours.com. There are all the contacts. People can find me on Facebook, Mikhail Shuvarikov. So contact us via email, website. We have also on the Facebook special group, Stalingrad Battlefield Tours. Yeah, it's just Facebook/Stalingrad Tour.
Thanks again, Mikhail. Really appreciate your time today, and take care over there in Stalingrad. I know it's late for you.
You're welcome, Tony, and it was the pleasure to meet you and to talk to you. Yeah.
Much respect to Mikhail Shuvarikov, of Stalingrad battlefield tours. What an amazing, amazing story. The significance and the Battle of Stalingrad. Can't wait to get back over there. So a lot of time and energy goes into putting this show together. And we would like to recognize one of our biggest supporters of the Bunker Boys show, Geir Morten Sorensen. I want to thank you for appearing on the show. This is very exciting for me because you are one of our biggest fans of the Bunker Boys show. So first of all, let me just say thank you for supporting us and for coming on the show. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you, Tony, and thank you for having me on the show.
No
I
problem.
love the show, and I've
Go ahead.
seen it for all time.
That's right. You've been watching since the beginning of season 1 last year, and
Right.
tell us, Geir, where are you located?
I'm living just outside of Oslo in Norway, the capital.
Like a little town or village?
Yeah, a little village outside. It's approximately 20 kilometers outside of Oslo.
You know, out of all the countries I've traveled through extensively throughout Europe, Norway is one of the countries that I have not been to, and I know I'm missing a lot. I've saved the best for last, right?
Of course you have. Of course you have. Well, it's a nice country with actually a huge kind of history. So you have something to look forward to.
Yes, definitely. And I will get there. So, Geir, tell us, how did you find out about the Bunker Boys show there in Norway?
I was a friend with Regs on Facebook, and I saw that you are going to start a show. And I, due to the corona and stuff like that, I was a little bit impressed that you did it. So I found out, okay, I have to watch.
Great. That's fantastic. So, and it was Reg that you were connected with. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
through
awesome.
Facebook.
Through Facebook, right?
So I've never met the guy or anything like that, but you get very easy close friends on Facebook.
Yes, and he's an amazing person. He's got so much information, so much energy for sharing, the history of World War II. So that's great. I'm glad to know how you found us. And tell us, Geir, what are your dislikes or likes about the show? I mean, every show has strengths and weaknesses. Can you tell us what you like, what you think we should keep doing, and what we should maybe work on?
Well, one of the favorite episodes is the one with Normandy, and I like those small stories, which is because if you go to Normandy, it's everybody have heard about the ship heading for the beach and stuff like that, but the church and the two Mr. Wright, I believe, and the other medic, those stories are amazing.
It wasn't that the authority was either German or American. It was the fact that it was now an aid station, and the fact he could have got into trouble for that, I think, is very revealing of what kind of guy he was, and Ken as well, in that they both had this duty, and they both received a Silver Star, I should add, for their services.
Yeah, I don't have any negative things about the show, actually. We can take that afterwards, but still, no, I think this. You are on the point. There are always things which interest you and not interest you. I mean, World War II is a huge stuff, but I find it interesting.
Good. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to give people stories that are less known, stories that maybe people have just heard of but don't really know much about. So we're trying to give people a little bit more than what the mainstream shows are offering, when it comes to World War II history. So, the reason we wanted to have you on the show is because you were selected at the end of last season, season 1, to give us an idea for an episode. We had asked all of our viewers to submit some feedback to us, and yours was selected, your survey was selected. And you mentioned Market Garden. So is that something you'd like us to explore on the Bunker Boys show?
I would love to do that. I actually should have been to Arnhem, Osterbeck area August last year, but due to Corona, everybody knows, we have ordered a new trip this August again. Hopefully things are getting better now. It's a very interesting conflict due to both the British and the American are involved in it. It's a high-risk operation. Due to it went wrong, everybody can say that, that was a bad decision to do. But you have to look at the bigger view about it.
And Market Garden, even though the operation failed in securing, the bridges and getting over the Rhine River, there were some negative results from that operation. Like the winter there in Holland. What those people had to endure because of the retribution, of the Nazi regime, and of course some of those Dutch people harboring airmen, that were stuck behind the lines there. So luckily I've been to that area many times with groups, Geir. So I look forward to putting that together for you, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more with you about some of the specifics. But we'll work on that, and we'll get that episode together this season. Okay.
I'm looking very much forward to that one.
Fantastic. Thank you so much from all of us here at the Bunker Boys Show for your support, for your dedication in not only watching the show but helping us out. Everything counts, and I just want you to know that you're a big part of this show. There's a lot going on right now for everybody. It's not easy to put these things together, but you're helping us do it. So you're helping us bring World War II to the world. So thank you, Geir.
Thank you very much, and keep on the good work. Thank you.
We'll do that, and we'll see you again soon, okay?
Yeah, look forward to it.
What a great guy. That was awesome. So everybody, we are doing a segment called Your War Stories, and we need your support. We need you to send us your stories, stories of your family members who served in World War II. We don't care what country, what gender. If you have a family member who has a special story from the Second World War, we want to hear about it, and we want to share it with the world. So please get in touch with us and send us your stories. We'd like for you to send us just a short little video, less than a minute. But if you can't do that, just basically get in touch, send us some photos. We can put it together and get it into the episode. So please reach out to us. Visit our website at bunkerboys.com. You can reach us on Facebook at facebook.com/WW2bunkerboys. We're on Twitter at twitter.com/bunkerboysshow. And finally at instagram.com/World War II Tours with the number 2. Again, please send us your war stories, and we'd like to put you in the show. That's it, everybody. That's our show for today. A very big thank you to Mikhail Shivarikov of Stalingrad Battlefield Tours. Be sure to visit his website again, stalingradtours.com. Stay tuned. We'll see you in 2 weeks for episode 4. America, keep it together.